जय हिंद, जय भारत, जय माता दी। सर, मैं स्टार्टिंग से इन्वेस्ट कर रहा था, इन्वेस्टमेंट वाज गोइंग वेरी फाइन, और मेरा CAGR का जो मैंने जहाँ म्यूचुअल फंड में इन्वेस्ट करता, एवरीथिंग इज सॉर्टेड। फाइनेंशियल मेरा प्लान बैकअप इतना अच्छा था कि मैं रिटायरमेंट के लिए भी रेडी था। क्या कुछ मुझे ऐसी चीज़ों के लिए तैयार रहना चाहिए जो कि मेरे इस पूरे प्लान को भी गड़बड़ कर सकती हैं? क्या कुछ ऐसी कंडीशंस आ सकती हैं?
हाँ, देखिए, ऐसा है कि कुछ गड़बड़ न हो, सब कुछ ठीक से चलता रहे, इसी के लिए हमने फाइनेंशियल प्लानिंग की थी।
राइट सर।
और फाइनेंशियल प्लानिंग हमारी रिटायरमेंट प्लानिंग का एक हिस्सा थी।
राइट सर।
पिछले 3-4 वीडियो जो हमने बनाए हैं उसमें बाकी जो फैक्टर्स होते हैं रिटायरमेंट प्लानिंग के लिए हमने वो भी डिस्कस किए थे, जो कि सब्जेक्टिव होते हैं, फैमिली से इन्वॉल्व होते हैं, है ना। पर जैसा आपने कहा कि अब आपका एक स्टेज था जब आप शोर जॉब ले रहे थे और यू आर अ टेक्निकल सुपरिटेंडेंट ऑन द बैक ऑफ योर रिटायरमेंट प्लान कॉर्पस, जो कि मेरे ख्याल में काफ़ी अच्छा हो गया होगा, 4-5 CR का होगा। तो अब क्या हो सकता है गड़बड़ कि आप आ गए, तो क्या उसमें गड़बड़ हो सकती है? वो गड़बड़ अगर उस सेंस में ना कहें, पर इवेंचुअलिटी अनप्लान्ड जो एक्सपेंसेस हो सकते हैं वही गड़बड़ कर सकते हैं।
सर, कुछ ऐसे केसेस कभी आपके पास आए हो?
हाँ, इसमें सबसे बड़ा जो एक होता है वो एक कैप्टन का था, जिसने कि वो मतलब 58 के आसपास ही थे और वो छोड़ चुके थे। ही वॉज अ पारसी, और उनके छोड़ने के फ़ौरन बाद में उनकी बेटी को कैंसर हो गया। उस समय द सैलरीज वर नॉट सो गुड। चीफ इंजीनियर्स एंड कैप्टन सैलरी यूज्ड टू बी under 5,000. So whatever he had made with the old calculations, and mutual funds and all that were not so popular, even though he had a reasonably good portfolio of stocks. So now because of this, and at that time he was very courteously offered a superintendent's job 1 or 2 years before, which he had taken, and naturally the shore jobs, they don't really pay you that much, and the insurance, health insurance was not available for the child because she was a major, and there was no health insurance for the daughter taken because she was still studying or maybe part-time working. So this cancer took away a lot of wealth from the family, and situation became a little grim. And like I said, those days equity was not such a big buzzword. There were no advertisements on television. So this was one thing. Another case which happened with another colleague of mine, also a master, and of course now I find that it happened with another few chief engineers, few of them, was that they had collected enough and had taken that retirement of one person was taking up sporadic sailing assignments of sailing maybe 4 months in a year, then not sailing for 1 year, and then sailing for 3 years because he had sufficient money. Another person had taken up a shore superintendent's job in India for a foreign company. So now what happened was that this child, who was reasonably good in studies and could have got a degree from India, for his undergraduation he said that I would like to study abroad. And then there are questions raised like, you are in merchant navy, and why can't I go abroad and study? We have had so much of exposure, studies are better there. Now we know that for undergrad, the expenses in US are huge. Canada maybe a little less, and Europe maybe a little less, but for undergrad in US they are huge. Those days it used to be something like 1.2 CR. And the child was sent. I will not say the gender, but the child was sent there, and while the child was studying for about 2-3 years, the second child grew up and came to class 12th, and he said, what's wrong with me? So already, let's take a generalized example of all these 6-7 people. Already in the case of the first child, they were pressed for this thing. With the second one, they became really under the weather because all the savings which they thought they would be sufficient for them went away. In 1 or 2 cases, they had to sell one of the houses which they had kept as property, which probably kept them afloat. But at that stage, they were in such a critical area, but age was around 50 plus. The capability to take risk and move into equity was not there. Further on, when they earned more to pay, they had to go back to sea. All of them had to go back to sea. Because with the salary that you earn on shore as a superintendent after paying taxes, in India at least it's not much. Outside also is not really great. So all of them had to go back to sea, and a few of them are still above 60 and they're still sailing. So you see, everything became zero. I'm not saying that they should not have studied abroad, but then probably that expense should have been kept in the mind. We don't know what's going to be tomorrow. I cannot say that please don't study in US because in coming time there will be no jobs in US. Those are not our questions to see. We only talk on this channel, we will talk about the finances. So we have to move in that direction, keeping that much outlay and telling the child also that you have to exert that much. You should be able to get a scholarship where you move to that country where the scholarships are available or the education is cheap, because, and then there are of course uncertainties. The people who went to, we are digressing from the topic, but then let's discuss that people who went to US, when they came back in the lockdown, they couldn't go back. So there were problems. Even in 9/11, somebody came back to India after 1 year of management and he couldn't go back. Then he had to divert into something else. So these are uncertainties which can happen in everywhere, in every life. One does not have to be a mariner or a seafarer. It can happen to shore people also. But the problem is with our income. Problem is with our age and up to which we can sail or we can comfortably like to sail. Somebody who had planned and wanted to retire at 50 or take up a shore job just for making both ends meet was suddenly put up with the expense of about 3 crores. See, so these are few things, and there can be more. Somebody's parents can become sick, and there is a saying that when there is a cancer in the family, the person who goes away, he goes, but he takes away everybody because of the expenses. Cancer is a very big thing. That also reminds me that there are few cancer policies available in India, apart from all the health insurance which people take. In specific cases, if they find that there is a genetic tendency of all these critical diseases, they can take an extra cover also. So these are a few things that we can do. For these studies also, what happens is for the postgrad and doctorate, you get fellowships, you get scholarships, in the first case you get loans, but that loan has to be paid off. And there is something I want to share with everybody, that the loans taken in US for studies have to be paid off. They cannot be written off by anybody. In India, there can be a lot of things which may happen, may not happen. Even here you have to pay and the father has to pay back, even though the tax benefit goes to the child. That's not the point. But one thing which I have come to know is that in US, any education loan taken has to be paid off within a certain period after completing your degree. So a lot of people have had this thing. So these are external information that we are giving, but at moment I can only think about all these matters, and as long as we keep following all the legalities and we follow the laws of the land that we discussed in the first 3 videos of the basic series, you should follow the law so that suddenly all this thing doesn't happen. With the way people are handling the income tax matters, I am very scared that some of them at this age of 50, 55 might get a notice from the income tax department for 10 years before, and they will calculate the interest and penalty from that time. There are a lot of people in that category. So I really hope this thing doesn't hit them. That's one of the another eventualities which I can think of. But don't be scared. Things don't happen to everybody, and we should manage our matters at all moments, and let's see.
With this, ये सब सुन के मुझे भी थोड़ा सा मेरे रोंगटे खड़े हो गए हैं.
मैं इनके रोंगटे खड़ा कर देता हूँ हर वीडियो में.
With this all I can say is, let's be careful, let's be aware. Thank you very much. जय हिंद, जय भारत, जय माता.